Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi. When you're here, let me know that you're here. And yes, let me know that you're here. I'm gonna pull you up on my phone too, because as you guys know, half the time that I'm doing a Facebook Live, the comments end up just disappearing on me and I never know. So I'm going to pull this up on my phone, make it super quiet so I don't hear myself talk. But I'm excited to talk to you guys today. So let's see. All right. I got it up. I got me up. I'm watching myself, guys. I'm watching myself. It's the freakiest thing ever. So who's around? Who's here? I'm excited, guys. There's a lot we're going to talk about. Say hi to me. Say hello, Rita, whenever you are here. And then I will know. I'm excited to talk to you guys about Barbados. So, as many of you know, I was gone. Maybe some of you didn't know, but I was gone for about 10 days in the lovely Barbados. One of our members, Karen McKee, hosts a amazing conference, which I'm so excited about because there's something for Women's Business Garden going on. Hi, Trisha. Hi. Hosts an amazing conference called Live Again, the Barbados Experience. And I was fortunate enough this year to get to go and talk. Hi, Diana. Hello. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. I was fortunate enough to go. I was speaking, and I'm actually speaking there next year. And there were a couple of things going on while I was at this retreat. There was the conference, or it wasn't a retreat, but the conference was going on. But my mentor, Paul Brunson, was also there as the keynote speaker. And he was leading a big mastermind group for a lot of us. And we participated in it was like a 15-hour long day of a mastermind for about 20 of us. And it was amazing. But there were so many things, right, that I learned that I could not share all of this stuff with you because it was really good, right? It's really good stuff. And I was just like, I have to come and tell all the women everything that I learned. So hi, Deborah. Hi, Levon. Hi. So how are you guys? I'm going to give a minute for some more people to join. But how are you guys doing? Tell me, how have you been? Are you guys ready for the holidays? Are you ready for the holidays? Have your holiday specials out? Your business cranking? Tell me what's going on. What you can't see over to that side of me is all my Christmas stuff. I have a pile of Christmas stuff. I normally put it up Thanksgiving weekend, but we were in Barbados, so I have not put up my Christmas stuff yet. But how many of you guys know Paul? Who knows who Paul Brunson is? If you don't, that's okay too. Just say yes or no. Like in the comments, let me know. Do you know who Paul Brunson is? Yes or no? It's probably the thing I should start with. If you guys don't. No. Okay, Rachel says no. Oh, you guys are doing good for the holidays. That's awesome. Yay. Okay. So Paul Brunson, if you don't know him, click on his name in the title of this video and start following him, okay? He also has a business page, so it's probably easier to follow him on his business page than friend him. But I met Paul many, many years ago, okay? So Paul was, for a while, the top matchmaker in the world. So many of you know that I started as a dating coach. And Paul Brunson was running the #1 matchmaking agency in the world. Okay, he was winning awards year after year after year after year. He was also beating me for best dating coach awards, and he's just an amazing man. He lives in Washington, D.C. And so he was running a successful company. He worked for Oprah for a while. He's had shows on ABC. He's just a really interesting guy. He's worked for millionaires. He had a show on the Oprah network. He has toured and spoken, before, like with the Oprah circuit, and running like a top-notch company, right? The #1 matchmaking agency. And we were on some panels together talking about dating. And what was really interesting was at the same time that I was transitioning from date coaching into business coaching, just because of the trajectory of the way that things went in my world, the same thing was happening to Paul, just up on a higher level, right, than I was at the time. So he was also really getting involved and going around and talking with Black entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, college students, business people, all kinds of people around entrepreneurship and business and lessons. And he was kind of on the same path that I was on. So we really connected, right? We really formed a really good relationship. He was a mentor to me, both officially and unofficially, for many, many years, and he still is. And hi, Anna, hi. And Paul actually recommended me to speak at this Live Again Barbados conference. So that just shows when you have not just this is like a side note. Don't just look for mentors, look for people that champion you, right? And Paul champions people that he brings into his court, right? And what that means is behind closed doors, without you there, they will advocate for you, right? And that's what he did. He told Karen, you really need to have Rita speak at this conference. And so I met Karen and we got along great. And that's how I ended up in Barbados, right? But Paul was a keynote speaker. He was a keynote speaker last year. He's a keynote speaker this year. So that's who Paul is. That's how I know Paul. That is how I got to be in Barbados, right? Speaking and listening to Paul and interacting with, like I said, a bunch of entrepreneurs in this really high level mastermind that just really, it knocked my socks off. If you guys can't tell, it totally knocked my socks off, right? But Paul's speech, as always, was full of nuggets and a lot of things that I've said, but kind of worded in different ways with different examples. And I just wanted to talk about them here with you because there were some takeaways that I thought are so applicable for almost every single woman here in Women's Business Garden. And it's along the lines of what I've been talking about with networking and relationship building. A lot of you know that's my big thing, right? I love talking about relationships and relationship building, but there's so much more than that. So the way that Paul started his talk was one of his really dear friends, okay, his best friend passed away just a couple of weeks ago. And he had to come down to this conference to talk. And to honor his friend, he decided to speak about his friend, right? But he spoke about his friend in a way that tied in business and tied in entrepreneurship. And the examples and the illustrations that he painted, they were amazing. And so I'm going to be kind of sharing with you some of the things that he said that I think can apply to you in your business. So one question I want to start with, because I see a few of you are here, what kinds of what kinds of things right now are you learning for your business, right? Tell me the kinds of things that you're learning to advance your business right now. A lot of people get certain certifications. I know I just talked to someone who's getting a reflexology certification, for example, but what kinds of things are you learning right now that are helping you in your business? Type it into the comments. Let me know. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They were getting like a PMP certification for project management. Some people were learning a certain software system, a certain, CRM, like a software program. What kinds of things are you guys learning right now to help advance your business, to help advance what you're doing within your business? Okay, so Debbie says working more on aging in place, financial. So actually budgets, I imagine, right? Budget spreadsheets, programs, right? The financial programs, a health coaching certification. Oh, yay. I love that, Diana, right? And those are the kinds of things I hear, right? Certain certifications, certain software systems, learning lead pages, or and Anna too, she's getting a kitchen and bath design certificate, right? Yes, and things around wellness, right? Modalities that can help wellness, says Rajika. So a lot of us are learning these skills within our industry. We're learning software programs, we're learning, we're getting certifications, we're getting educated in areas that are directly related to our industry and what we do, right? Do you guys know what those skills are called? Do you in general, the overall category of those skills, do you guys know what those skills are called? I'll give you a minute, right? And you might not. You can type no. You can type no if you don't know. Say, no, I got no idea. Crazy. They're just called skills, right? They're just called skills. So those are hard skills. Have you guys heard that before? Hard skills, right? Well, Paul drove this really neat comparison, right? He was talking about how him and his buddy had started their careers at the exact same time doing the exact same thing. Okay. And his buddy was like the company man, right? Anything the company needed, he did. He needed new certifications. He needed a Series 7 license. He needed all of these things, right, to help with that company, and what he needed to do for that company, he would do. And Paul cracked me up. Paul was like, you know what I did? The bare minimum, right? Like I did the bare minimum. I did what I needed to do to get by and just like not get fired, right? To have a job and perform it well and not get fired. But I wasn't going out of my way, he said, to get like all these advanced certifications and all of these things, right? I did the bare minimum. He's like, because in his free time, what he did was read and learn, but he was learning about soft skills, right? And soft skills were things like public speaking, conflict resolution, writing, communication, leadership, right? Soft skills are transferable skills. They're not related to a specific industry or a specific position or a specific profession or a specific anything, right? Soft skills are what we call transferable skills, and they can transfer anywhere. And the reason he brought this up, right, he was making 3 points. He said his friend, who he loved dearly, and like I said, passed away just a few weeks before, had many wonderful things in his life, right? Many wonderful people, many wonderful things. But Paul said that his friend Andre died unhappy in his career. And what he was doing was drawing the comparisons of the differences between Andre and Paul, right? And where they went from starting in the same place, where they ended up with their careers, right? One advanced but was very unhappy. The other ended up somewhere completely different and completely happy. And what were the differences, right? What were the differences? And the first was Paul focused on soft skills, transferable skills, right? Those are the skills that will escalate and will rock your business 10, 15, 20 times more than a lot of the hard skills that we're learning, right, to run our business. Not that to be a health coach, right, you need a health certification or you need to have the knowledge. I'm not saying that you don't need to do those things. But oftentimes what we do is we get wrapped up in this cycle of continuing to learn about our industry, about our profession, and about everything that helps it, right? Coaching portals for me, for example, software systems, CRMs, all of these things that will help with what I do today. And we do that to the detriment of developing our soft skills. But it's really our soft skills that are going to give us the advantage out in the business arena, out getting clients, getting customers, and having opportunities come our way. It's learning about public speaking, learning about writing, learning about conflict resolution, about employee management, about leadership, about all of these things, right? All of these skills that will be important to what we do now, that can be important to any opportunity that comes our way. And the more that we develop those, the better we're going to do in our business. So what I want you guys to ask yourself is, are you working on the soft skills? What are you doing to develop all of your soft skills? Is anybody who is, right? I guess that's my question. Right? This isn't a scripted training, right? I don't have a whole script that I'm going over. This is really an informal kind of conversation and me telling you what I learned. But I found that to be so fascinating, because when people say, Rita, why is it that Women's Business Garden took off so quickly? Or your date coaching practice took off so quickly, or it had nothing to do with the actual skills of coaching or the skills of leading a Facebook group or the technical skills, right? And all the hard skills. It was that I learned how to be a good public speaker. I learned how to communicate. I learned listening. Listening is a soft skill. I learned writing, right? I learned how to manage a community management, right? That's kind of a soft skill because you can transfer that in a number of ways. I learned about conflict resolution, right? I learned leadership, right? I learned all of these, and I put most of my focus and energy. I was actively reading books about body language, learning about body language, right? Learning about how what your body language says, right, to others, and how that can influence your business and influence them and persuade them, and learning how to read other people's body language, right? Learning the art of persuasion, right? Learning the art of persuasion. Paul was talking the other day in a video that he did about where you sit at a table, right? I think this was part of a body language thing, but like where you sit at a table can influence your influence in the room, can dictate how much influence and how much power or how much lack of influence and lack of power you have, right? So I don't know how many of you are educating yourself on all of these things, but if you feel like my business isn't growing, or I need my business to grow more, or why am I not doing as well as X, Y, and Z, although you should never think that, right? But yet people do. And if all of these thoughts are going in your head and going through your head, right, you should really stop and say, am I developing my soft skills more than I am my hard skills? Or am I so focused on my hard skills right now? Certifications and software systems and design programs and all of these things, right, that I have backburnered the soft skills. The soft skills should really come before the hard skills, right? So knowing that, like, what soft skills do you guys think that you want to work on, that you'd like to develop? Share some of those in the comments for me, right? Like, body language is one right now that I am all over. Like, I am so interested in that right now, learning other people's body language, learning what my body language says and how to use that in my business, right, in meaningful, real, non-manipulative ways. But I'm fascinated by that right now, and I really want to learn that soft skill, right? Leadership is something I'm always cultivating and developing. But how about with you guys? What soft skills do you know could really help boost and elevate your business? Share some with me. Don't hold back, guys. It's okay. This is a safe space, right? No one's going to judge you for anything that you say, I promise. Plus, it gives me a time to, like, not talk, right, while you guys are typing. I keep looking down because I look at my phone in case the comments on the computer have frozen. So what kind of soft skills do you guys want to develop? Writing, speaking, leadership, body language, persuasion, sales, conflict resolution, management, community management? What do you guys want to do? Think about it, right? Think about it. And as you think about these things, share them in the comments of the group. But that's lesson one, right? Lesson one takeaway from this conference was the skills, right? I said, learn the skills that you need to what skills you need to focus on. Where do you need to put your priority, right, in order to escalate and elevate your business? And it's on soft skills. All right. So you need to be really honest and ask yourself, what am I doing to cultivate these soft skills, right? Because as Paul said, that was the number one difference between what started getting him in his direction of loving what he does and kind of going off the beaten path, right, versus his friend who was, working for and the very interesting thing about this is why, if you notice, right, and we talked about this at the conference, companies up until recently and even now still don't want to pay for you. They don't want to reimburse you to go learn soft skills, right? But they will reimburse you for the degrees and the certifications that you need to help advance what you do for them, right? Hard skills make your company money, right? Soft skills make you money because they're transferable and they can really boost what you're doing in your business, right? Management. Okay, so my comments did freeze up on the screen, so I'm going to move my phone up here. Public speaking. Rajika says public speaking, right? Toastmasters is great for public speaking and for listening, both, right? Toastmasters is a great organization for that. Writing. There are all kinds of writing programs and writing groups, and Diana, I agree, right? Writing is going to be so crucial for you. And Anna, I happen to know that your business is really leveling up and scaling, and management is going to be so important for you, right? So that's lesson one, right? If you're watching this, write down the soft skills that you need, that because we know, right, those skills that could really make a difference in our business that are transferable, that are soft, that are not the hard skills, and make a plan in 2018 to focus on those. Okay, make a plan to focus on those. Lesson number two, right? Lesson number two in this whole thing was, what did I say? Oh, where will most of your opportunities come from? This is something I've always known, but there's just something about the way Paul illustrates things that just lights me up and makes me so excited. And he gave this really, really great example about where the majority of your opportunities come from. So where do you guys think the majorities of your opportunities in your business come from? So when I say opportunities, I mean referrals, I mean clients and customers, speaking opportunities, to be on the media, like all of these things, right? Where do you think the most of your opportunities flow in from? Do you guys have any idea? And so let me start explaining it, and you guys can type as I kind of explain the example that he gave, right? So we all want opportunities in our business, right? So groups you belong to, said Diana, right? Referrals, networking groups. So everybody's like groups, right? The networking groups. Here's the really interesting thing about that, right? Paul put somebody up in front of the audience. Okay, so let's say I'm standing up in front of you. Okay, it's like, so Margie goes the opposite way, right? Folks that know me well. That's where most of the opportunities come from. Folks that know me well, right? Anna says referrals and speaking engagements. Okay. Paul, let's say that Paul put me in front of the group and he said, here's Rita. He put 3 people next to me. Okay. Person number 1 next to me represents my best friend. Okay. This was the best example from Paul I've ever seen. So the person next to me represents my best friend, right? We've been together forever. We've gone through everything together, right? That's my BFF. Then the next person in line would be my peers, my colleagues, my coworkers, right? People I see every day and that I see frequently and that I know well, right? In the business sense, in the work capacity, in the industries we run in, right? Then the third person represents those people that you were like connected to in high school, right? People that you might have been friends with, you used to hang out at their house, they hung out at your house, you would, go to, I don't know, in Reston, we would go to what we call the McTaco Hut. It was like McDonald's and Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, like all in a triangle. And for some reason, we thought that was the coolest place to hang out in high school. Ridiculous, right? But that person, that third person in line represents, right, those people in your life, those long lost connections. They were friends, but long lost connections. And what I loved was Paul's definition of friend. He said, if I know your mama's name and you know my mama's name, or if I ever knew your mama's name, however I referred to her, and you knew my mama's name, or we were in each other's houses, right? Or we have seen or met each other's mamas, you're my friend. Right? Otherwise, we're just really good acquaintances, right? So that person down the line, the third one represents, right, those long lost friends under that definition of friend. And then he said, then there's everybody else, right? Everybody else in the audience. Those are like your followers, like kind of one-off acquaintances, people that aren't your best friends, that aren't your coworkers and peers, and that aren't your long lost friends, but just kind of your acquaintances and everybody else. Followers, acquaintances of different levels. Okay? Rachel says it was the coolest place to hang out. Oh my God, the McTaco Hut, right? Right? I did not make that up. So those are the people, out of those people, right? Out of your best friend, out of your colleagues, peers, industry people, out of your long lost friends, and out of the community, right? Out of everybody else, people that aren't your best friends, aren't peers, and aren't long lost friends, right? Where do you think most of your opportunities come from? Where do you think? Type it in the comments. And now I'm just chuckling at the McTaco Hut. So lame. So lame. But oh boy, did we fight to hang out there. So lame though. Peers. Okay, so Diana said peers, industry peers, right? She thinks that most of your opportunity, and I know Holly says networking event. Okay, so Holly says like your networking events. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Most of your opportunities come from, drum roll, your long lost friend. Okay, so a lot of you have heard me talk about Judy Robinette's book. Okay, so there's a book by Judy Robinette called The Power Connector. And in it, she talks about something that she's not the only one to talk about this. A lot of like cognitive scientists and stuff have talked about this. But your brain basically has the capacity to hold up to 150 friends. So remember the definition of friend I just gave, right? So the definition of friend, right, that I gave. Your brain has a capacity to hold like 150 friends. Most of your opportunities come from your weakest link, your weakest friend, Okay, that 150th friend, that long lost friend, that person in high school that you hung out with at the McTaco Hut every day, right? That you haven't talked to since, for me, it would be 1994. Okay, so since 1994, I haven't talked to that person, right? That person holds the key to most opportunities for me. Do you guys know why that is? Bye, Debbie. Watch the replay, girl. Do you guys know why that is? Any guesses? It's because that person is a super connector. Do you know why? Do you know why? This was fascinating to me. Okay. A super connector, the definition of a super connector is that they are connected to a network that is unlike your own network. That's it. A super connector is a person that is connected to people who don't resemble you or your current network. Right? Think about it. A lot of us network and create and surround ourselves with people who are like us, right? So as Paul, going back to Paul's example from the conference, he was talking about him and his friend Andre, right? He said on the day that Andre died, Andre talked to 33 people that day. Paul said on that same day, Paul talked to 3 people, right? Now, the people Paul talked to were very different. It was somebody who was fixing a fence in his backyard. It was a Hollywood producer, and there was someone else. I can't remember, right? But it was 3 very different people that Paul talked to that day. Not many, but diverse. Andre talked to 33 people, but they were all like him. They were in finance, they were males, they were African American, they kind of ran in the same world, in the same, groups, the same situation as him. Okay, so that's who, right? Like Andre did. He had a network that resembled him. Paul, on the other hand, had a network that did not resemble him at all. So if you stop and you start thinking about your network, does it look like you? I know that right now mine has started to, right? And this really made me stop because for a while I had a network that did not look like me at all, right? Did not resemble me at all. And right now I'm surrounded by a lot of women. I'm surrounded by a lot of women entrepreneurs, right? I'm surrounded by a lot of suburban people. I'm surrounded by a lot of East Coasters. I'm surrounded by a lot of people in the coaching industry. I'm surrounded by, right? I am surrounded by high achieving women. Not that these are bad things. I'm not saying that being connected to people that are like you are bad, right? That's not what I'm saying. But stop and think about it, right? Does your network resemble you? Right? If so, you are not connected to super connectors, right? Because again, a super connector is someone who is connected to a network completely unlike yours, which is why, right, that long lost friend from high school, okay, that long lost friend from high school becomes key, right? Because they were your friend, right? Remember, we knew each other's mama's names. Maybe Rachel and I hung out at McTaco Hut together, right? We haven't talked to each other since like 1994, like I said in my example. But we were close. We had a trust. We had a bond, right? So that's still there. It might be buried. It might be kind of like, forgotten, but it's still there, right? But now it's been over 20 years and Rachel has gone completely over here. I haven't talked to her. We're not connected. We don't have the same colleagues, the same peers. We're not in the same industry. We don't have the same friends. Maybe she lives in a different part of the world than me. Maybe all of this stuff, right? Who is my weakest link? My weakest friend. And when I say that, I mean the person I have the least in common with, right? That person, right, becomes the source of all new opportunities for me. Right? Because all of these other opportunities, I'm already running in that world. My best friend, right? My best friend, like Paul said, your best friend has done everything they can for you. Right? They probably know all the same people you do. Right? They can't give you any new introductions, any new people, any new opportunities. They're rolling in the same world as you every day. Your colleagues, your peers, your industry people, if they like you enough, right? But they're focused on them. They're focused on advancing their careers and advancing their opportunities, right? And then you get everybody else, right, out in the world. They want to help you, but they don't have that friend bond, right? They don't have that trust in you from really connecting with you in a meaningful way to help introduce you to high level people, right? And when Paul said he got his job with Oprah, where he got introduced to Oprah and got to work with Oprah, came from one of those weakest friends, right? Somebody who he hadn't talked to in forever, but he reestablished a connection with them. And they ran in a completely different world and were able to introduce him, right, to that and have that opportunity come in his way. So from that, right, the takeaway, the action from that is to look at your network and say, who is my 150th friend? Go through LinkedIn, go through Facebook, right? And then the next part is so common sense and it sounds so funny, but you stalk them. Right? You internet stalk them, right? You get on Facebook, you follow them, you notice what they're talking about. I mean, all this week I've been saying, make it about them, right? Paul gave an example where somebody had followed Paul, right? And Paul had posted that he was going to teach his kids how to play tennis, or he wanted to teach his kids how to play tennis. And this person, right, this 150th friend or whatever that was trying to reestablish, like, I guess Paul was his 150th friend, right, was trying to reestablish this connection and this communication. He emailed him and said, Paul, I know it's been a while since we talked, but I happen to know a top tennis instructor who lives near you, and I would love to make that introduction, right? That was the way he reached back out to reignite that long lost friendship, right? And sure enough, right, since then, of course, Paul wanted to return the favor. Paul wanted to reconnect with him, and now opportunities are flowing to both of them from completely different worlds that they would not have had these opportunities from, right? So believe it or not, most of your opportunities come from your 150th friend, right? Not just your audience, right? Not just your peers and industry people and not your best friend, that person that was a friend that you've lost touch with, right? So if you haven't, a great action item is to comb through your network, start being thoughtful, ask who is it that you've fallen out of touch with, reach out, reignite that relationship, but don't just do it to saying hi, right? Would love to tell you about what I'm up to. Really start paying attention to them, see what's going on in their world, see how you can give them value and provide them value to reignite that relationship, right? And when you do, you will be amazed at the opportunities that roll in, right? Who does that? Who goes through and thinks about their 150th friend, their 100, and really takes a very purposeful, intentional effort to reestablish that relationship from a value perspective, from giving value. Right? Does that make sense to you guys? That the majority of your opportunities that will, not just opportunity, but the opportunities that will level you up, right? That will up-level you, that will escalate you, that will boost you, that those opportunities come from your weakest link, that long-lost friend, right? Not just acquaintances, not just people that watch you, right? And not your industry peers and not your best friend, that long-lost friend. Does that make sense to you guys? So simple, but so brilliant, right? So now we know that you're working on your soft skills, right? That was point one. Focus on soft skills, not hard skills, right? And point two, that I really want to talk. Now, Paul made more points in this. I can't just review his whole speech, right? But these were the takeaways that I found really interesting. And the other one was to really go through and think about your network, right? And most of Paul said all the opportunities that got him the option for the movie, that got him Oprah, that got him coaching, that got him the matchmaking, that got him, right? All of this stuff, right? He sold his matchmaking business. He all of his speaking opportunities, they all come, right? From cultivating a network that does not look like him, from surrounding himself with super connectors, right? Super connectors, again, are those people that are connected to networks that don't look like yours, right? So he has a diverse network from different industries, from Hollywood, from general contracting, from coaching, from matchmaking, from government contracting, to technology, to, right? You're, instead of just kind of networking within your industry or field, right, or within who your ideal clients are, cultivating your network to be people representative of all industries, the media, all the, the law, everything, right? Have a very diverse network, but it's quality, not quantity, right? Remember, he said his friend talked to 33 people on the day that he passed away, but he was still very unhappy with where he was, and he didn't have the opportunities coming into him that Paul did, because all those opportunities were already what he had, because he was running with a network that was just like him, right? And Paul was over here cultivating a very diverse network. It was a much smaller network, and he was taking time, right? To really reignite those relationships with that weakest link, right? With that weak or 150th friend, right? So make sure, write that down. I need to look and figure out who my 150th friend is, right? And I need to give them value. I need to give them value. So that means you have to pay attention to them. How many of your friends from long lost friends on Facebook do you not even pay attention to what they're posting? You're not even really, you're only watching the friends you run with right now, right? Your networks that you're with right now, and you talk to them and you communicate with them, and you kind of just skim by, right? All of those people, because you're like, I have lost touch with them. Those are the people you need to be paying attention to, all right? So those were two of his main points, right? One thing that he said, that's the next point that I wanted to talk about today, was the fastest way to become a millionaire. So simple, but he added a little twist to it, which I really agree with. Paul and I have actually talked about this before, so I really agree with it. How do you guys think? What do you think the fastest way to become a millionaire is? I'm curious. I'm curious what you guys are going to say. What do you think? Fastest way to become a millionaire. Anybody know? Have you heard it before? I mean, this isn't like a Paul trade secret, right? This is something that people have said. I'm just curious. Do you guys know? Say yes or no, right? That way I'll know that the comments haven't frozen. They haven't frozen. Also, I see this hair sticking up right there. It's driving me crazy. Do you guys see it? It's like no. So you guys don't know? Okay. The fastest way to make $1 million is to impact 1 million people. Impact 1 million people, make $1 million. That's the fastest way, right? And he gave us some examples. Paul gave us some examples in his speech, right? And I think his examples are so funny. Totally different. Again, Paul doesn't look like me. Paul runs in a network that's not like me, right? He gave the example of P. Diddy, right? P. Diddy. He said, P. Diddy's been making us dance for like, I forget how long, 20 years? I don't know. I don't want to date myself. Well, I already dated myself by talking about the McTaco Hut in 1994. But, you know, how many lives has P. Diddy impacted through his music, right? And how much money does he have, right? And then the next example he gave was so funny. He's like, and then you have Mark Zuckerberg, right? Founder of Facebook. Right? He's like $70 million, something crazy, right? $7 million, $7 billion, like something insane. But he has more money than there are people on the planet. More money than people on the planet, right? So how is it, right, that the philosophy is the fastest way to become a millionaire is to impact the lives of 1 million people, right? Well, Mark Zuckerberg has way more money than the number of people he's impacted, right? How can that be? Do you guys know? Like, if that rings true, impact 1 billion lives, be a billionaire, right? But how is it that Mark Zuckerberg has more money than there are people in the world, right? And it's because the twist, right? The twist to what's out there about impact 1 million lives, make $1 million, right? And I truly believe that, right? But I believe this more. It's not about the number of lives you impact as much as it is how you impact those lives, right? The level, the deepness with which you impact those lives. And as Paul said, yeah, P. Diddy has been making everybody dance, right? P. Diddy has had many parties, you know, be like a great time, and he has people feeling good and dancing. Mark Zuckerberg has changed the way that we live our lives. Think about, I'm here on video with you on Facebook talking to you about this, right? That is a deep impact, right? Mark Zuckerberg's impact with people went deep, right? Not surface level, deep. So the fastest way to become a millionaire, right, is to impact 1 million lives, but impact them in a deep way, or impact less than 1 million lives, right? Really, and impact them in a deep and meaningful way. So whatever you're doing in your life, say, am I impacting the right number of people, right? Now that doesn't just have to be by them being your client and them being your customer, right? Not all of you are my clients, right? Not all of you, some of you are, but not all of you are my coaching clients, right? I hope all of you at some point become my coaching client, right? But not all of you are, right? But I'm still impacting you right now. I'm going to impact the people that watch the replay, right? I think that the last video that I have pinned about community versus audience, right? That video has over 500 views or getting close to it or something like that, right? I don't know who those people are who have watched the video. I didn't interact with all of them, but I've impacted them if they have watched the video or even watched a portion of the video, right? What are you doing to impact? If you want to be a millionaire, a billionaire, right? $2 billion heir. I don't know, right? A multi-millionaire, a multi-billionaire, whatever, right? If you want to do that, are you impacting those number of lives, that requisite number of lives? And is the impact deep and is it meaningful? You know, yeah, are you helping people have fun and having a good time? That's great. Or are you fundamentally changing the way that people are living their lives, right? Are you fundamentally changing the way that people are approaching something in their lives? Are you fundamentally changing something about them, right? That's the fastest way to become a millionaire, right? So now the questions that you're asking yourself, hopefully, right, on this video and after this video, number one is, am I working on my soft skills or am I focusing too much on hard skills? And what soft skills do I need to be focusing on, right? And number two is, who is my 150th friend? Who are those long lost friends that I need to go out and cultivate relationships with by giving value, right? And number three is, how many lives am I impacting on a daily basis? Not how many customers and how many clients, how many lives am I impacting on a daily basis? Is it equal to the amount of money that I want to bring into the world? And am I making that impact on a deep and meaningful level? And that's the fastest way to become a millionaire, right? So boom, over. No, not over yet. Not over yet, right? So then, right, a point that I noticed was within 24 hours of Paul's keynote, there were certain people, and I'm going to toot my own horn, woo, woo, right, me included, that had success in our businesses happen as a direct result of that within 24 hours. And there were other people that still to this day, and it's been about a week since the conference, have not had any meaningful change in their business or their lives as a result of being in the audience and listening to that talk. Do you know what the difference was? Do you know what the differentiator is for what differentiated me and other people that had a meaningful change in a week, a meaningful change within 24 hours of hearing Paul talk, right? So there was a group of us that had meaningful change result within 24 hours. And then there was a group that to this day still haven't had meaningful change. Do you know what the differentiator was? Why some of us experienced immediate impact and change in our business and our lives from Paul's keynote and others did not? Any guesses? Guess in the chat room, chat box, whatever it is. I don't know. You can tell I'm a kid of like 1994, right? AOL chat rooms and stuff. So who wants to take a guess? What do you think the differentiator was? This is a good time to just throw it out there, right? Again, no judgment, right? Just take a guess. Rajika says, I just don't know. I just don't know what the differentiator is. Who wants to guess what the difference was? Anybody? Going once. I know you're there. I see y'all. Right? Maybe I'll put on some P. Diddy. Ah, Margie. If I usually have a bell that's like ding, 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 ding. So I'm just gonna be like, yes, Margie got it, like immediately. Some folks implemented, and Deborah said it too, right? Instantly took action. The minute Paul was done, the minute he was done with his speech, I went out into the hallway. I knew who one of my like kind of 150th friends were, right? I went onto their Facebook pages. I looked at what they'd been talking about in their lives. I messaged them. I reached out to them. And I had one person write me back and go, oh my gosh, Rita, I had no idea you were doing that, right? We are actually looking for a speaker for an association that I'm a part of, and I would love to refer you. That happened immediately, right? For me doing that, right? Immediately, guys. And then, right, the soft skills part, that's something that could, but I have purposely been working on all of that, right? You guys know that. I mean, I don't hide what I'm working on, right? A lot of you will ask me about technical stuff with coaching, and I'm like, oh, lead pages. I don't know. I pay somebody for that, right? I'm out like learning how to write better or something like. I want to learn leadership, right? So people know I've enrolled in Toastmasters, and I'm, the National Speaker Association and all of these things. But the biggest thing was I went out and implemented that advice immediately, right? Paul said, cultivate connections with your weakest link. And I didn't wait. I went out, found my weakest link, sent a message out immediately to 2 or 3 of them, and boom, right? One of them resulted in an opportunity. Now, is that going to happen to everybody? Like, are you all just going to go, oh my gosh, I need to go ahead and I need to implement this right now and do it right now, and I'm going to have the same result as Rita? No, obviously, right? It won't always work like that. But you can't have fast results if you don't take fast action. I always say your action is equal, right? Your results are equal to the action you take, right? And the amount of results that you achieve, that's equal to the amount of action that you take. So if you're only taking a little bit of action, you're only going to get a little bit of results, right? If you're taking massive action, you're going to get massive results. If you're taking bold action, you're going to get big and bold results, right? In that case, I took fast action and I got fast results, right? And I took calculated, I took very thoughtful action, right? And from a place of service and giving value. And so I got that back. The law of reciprocity is when you give something to somebody, they want to give something back to you. I gave this person that I reached out to value. I didn't just say, hey, it's been so long since we talked. We should get together and chat and see what's going on. No, I really read through their page, saw what they needed, sent that value to them, and then they responded in kind. Right? So that was that's the major difference in why some of us experienced immediate success and impact in our business and in our lives after hearing Paul's speech, and other people in that audience didn't. So I want to ask you, right, with what you're hearing today, what you've heard me say before, what you might have heard others say before, are you listening and nodding your head and saying that's great? Or are you immediately implementing? Right? Because I can tell you that when I'm out, right, at a conference or an event, and a speaker says something and gives a suggestion, I'm the one that goes out in the hall and I implement it right away. Like, if they're like, you should put together a holiday offer, and get that out there, I'm out in the hall putting together the holiday offer and just getting it out there, right? If they're like, oh, here's how you can get a paid keynote, you need to email 10 organizations and blah, blah, blah. I'm out in the hall on my phone finding the email addresses for 10 organizations, and I'm emailing them, right? So I want you guys to be honest with yourself and ask, are you a fast implementer? Are you a fast implementer? And then finally, the thing that impressed me the most, the last point I wanted to talk about today, was the thing that impressed me the most about Paul's speech, right? And it's so easy for you to replicate. And I talked about this in High Achievers Club, right? So some of you know I run something called High Achievers Club. Registration on that is actually opening here in a few days. But every week in High Achievers Club, the members of that club get a bonus challenge. And it's a bonus challenge for them to go implement quickly, right? And I tell you, the ones that run with every bonus challenge and implement it immediately and do it full out have greater success in their business than the ones that don't. But I give a bonus challenge. And this bonus challenge this week was to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable with your audience. Share what's going on in your world and relate it to what you're doing. And that's what Paul did. Paul suffered a devastating loss just a couple of weeks ago. His best friend, right, was gone. And here he was in front of us telling us that, and telling us the story of his friend's life and being very honest about it, saying, my friend passed away unhappy in his career. And I love what I do. And I started wondering why. We started in the same place at the same time, the same way. Why did we go on these different paths? And he just opened up and shared personal stories. He's telling us, I did the bare minimum at my job, right? I did the bare minimum, right? This wasn't my career. I mean, forever. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I did the bare minimum, and here's how I spent my time. He was real. He was authentic. He didn't try to make his life seem glamorous and wonderful and like he's been the perfect person the whole time, right? He was real. He was vulnerable. He was talking about something that was hard for him to talk about, right? That was emotional. Now, I don't think you need to go over the top, and I said this in High Achievers Club, and show all your messes and all your skeletons in the closet. There is such thing, guys, as oversharing. All right. Let's just put that on the table. Don't overshare, right? It's still a business at the end of the day. You still have a professional brand and a voice that you want to put out into the world, right? But being vulnerable, right, is something you can replicate immediately in your content, in your talks, in your presentations. Are you just teaching? Are you teaching the points, like today, like I'm like, or are you sharing your personal stories about it, right? Are you intertwining those, which I have with like, here's how I met Paul and here's what I did in the hall. And, here's where I was stuck and my network was starting to look just like me, right? Here I am, like telling people how to network and my network was starting to get stale, right? Are you opening up and sharing those real things about yourself with your audience, with your tribe, with your community, with your clients, customers, prospective clients, prospective customers, whoever they are that's listening to you? Are you being real? Are you being vulnerable? Are you sharing about yourself, right? That was something Paul did that anyone can easily replicate. And the second thing Paul did was make it interactive, right? He asked questions, just like I did with you today. In his keynote, he was like, look, I want to know, who knows? Who knows what this is, right? Who knows what this rule is? Who knows where your opportunities come from? Who knows why this, right? Are you making it engaging? Are you making your presentations are you making your content interactive? If you're emailing a newsletter, is it a conversation that you're having with your audience? Because if it's not, it should be. Or is it just like an article in a newspaper? Here are 3 tips to be healthy this winter. Number 1, right? Like clean your hands, wash your hands. Number 2, blow your nose in a tissue. Number 3, I don't know, right? But like, are you just teaching points? Are you having a conversation with your audience? Like, guys, oh my gosh, it's the holidays. And like, I just came out of this trip to Barbados and there was a dirty airport, but I was tired. But I really made sure that I took the time to wash my hands and everybody was sick and blowing their, and I had tissues in my pocket, right? Like, so lesson 1, bring tissues. Lesson 2, bring hand wash, right? Like, are you like having a conversation through your newsletters? Are you having a conversation in your trainings? Are you having a conversation when you give speeches and presentations? Even the most professional, even as a lawyer, when I was working as a lawyer and I was giving some presentations to the Bar Association, I made those interactive. I made it a conversation. I made it engaging, right? And that's something that you can do. You can be vulnerable and you can be engaging, right? Immediately. Anybody can implement those, right? And that boosts. What does that boost? Do you guys know what that boosts when you're vulnerable and when you're engaging and you're facilitating conversation? Do you guys know what that boosts? It boosts credibility because it boosts trust in you. People get connected, right? Again, it all comes back to relationships. You're not networking, right? You're creating not just connections, you're creating relationships, right? And relationships are founded in that vulnerability, in conversations, in giving value, in being thoughtful, in being intentional, right? So those are what I wanted to share with you from my conference. Those were the takeaways that I thought could really help you guys in your business, right? Number 1, focus on your soft skills. Do an analysis. Ask yourself, what soft skills do I need to work on, and make a plan to implement those and work on those immediately, right? Number 2, go through your network, comb through your network. Find that definition of friend and look for the friends that are long lost friends. Pay attention to them. Start paying attention to what they're saying and putting out there. Give them real value. Reignite those relationships, right? Because opportunities will multiply for you if you do that, right? Number 3, right? To make more money, you have to impact more lives, right? How many lives are you impacting? Is it equal to the amount of money that you want to be making? If not, how can you impact more lives? Right? It's not just about having clients and customers. How can you impact more lives, right? And how can you impact them in a deep and meaningful way? Because as we noticed, that ups the game, right? With what you get back, right? And then, are you implementing things immediately? Are you implementing the things that you hear immediately? And doing that will tenfold give you quick results, right? When you hear something, are you the person out in the hall implementing it? Are you guys quiet right now because you're combing through your networks and starting to pay attention to your 150th friend, right? Are you implementing immediately? Are you taking, if you want big results, are you taking big action, right? If you want fast results, are you taking fast action, right? And then the final thing is, Are you being vulnerable? Are you always having conversations with your audience? Whether that's an audience listening to you speak, somebody reading what you write, a professional presentation, whatever you're doing, are you being real and vulnerable, sharing about yourself, connecting emotionally, right? Being interactive like that, being engaging like that, right? And are you doing it from a place of having a conversation with a person? Right? Those are the takeaways. Those are the takeaways from the conference. And that's what I wanted to share. So what are your thoughts, guys? What questions do you have, right? Like, I've got about 5 more minutes. So what do you guys want to know? Like, it can be about what we talked about. It can be about something else that popped up in your mind as a result that we talked about. What questions, what things, what thoughts, right? This is a conversation. We've been kind of having a conversation, right? As much as we can on Facebook Live. So what thoughts, what things, what takeaways, what aha moments did you guys have? Share those. I love it when people go, oh my gosh, this is a takeaway. What are you going to implement immediately? What are you going to do as a result of what you heard today? Share that with me in the comments. And then that way I know the comments didn't freeze too. And I can take a sip of my Diet Coke. Which they don't pay me for this, but they should really start. And yes, I understand I said I was going to quit Diet Coke. I'm not ready to do that yet, though. There's my mess. So, anybody have any thoughts about what they heard today? Was there an aha moment? Was there a takeaway? Is there a question? Do you want to know how to do something? Is there something that you're like, I want to do that, I just need to know how? And if you're watching this on replay and you have any of that, right? As you guys know, right, I said this in my last round, this is not a surprise, right? I only have 2 more spots for clients, right, to take by the end of January. So I only have for December and for January, I have 2 client spots, right, that I can take. And then my next clients can't start with me until February. So if you are really wanting these big results, these fast results, if you're wanting to do things in your business, if you're wanting to take the right action, if you're wanting to take action, if you're wanting to go through your network, if you're wanting to figure out the right places to put yourself, if you're wanting to know what are the soft skills that I should be working on, if you really want to know what is it that I need to be doing because I'm ready, right? I have been working on my business. I'm not happy with where it is, or I am, but I want it to be more. I want it to be different. I want to do more. I want to impact more lives. I want to impact them in a more meaningful way. Reach out to me and let me know, and schedule yourself for a clarity call with me. Okay, just a complimentary clarity call. We will get on the phone. We will see if coaching is right for you, right? 2018 is here, guys. I mean, we were talking about this at the mastermind, right? And if you guys go through my pictures of Barbados, you're going to see some of the notes of the systems that people are implementing in your business, right? In their business to have big results. And I can't stress enough how amazing these systems are, right? But those are people that have worked with coaches, and they're working with mentors, and they're working with people because they want these results. And we were all at that mastermind. We could have mastermind virtually. We were all together in Barbados, right? We were all there together because we wanted it to be meaningful and deep and real, right? We were ready. We want it to be bigger and more meaningful and more impact. And we just want the results that we're craving quickly, sooner than later in 2018, right? So we invested in that, right? And it is an investment, right? I can't lie. It sounds cheesy, but it is. It's an investment, right? But if you're ready, reach out to me. Tell me. Say, I want to do some of this stuff you said. I just need to know how. We'll see if coaching's the right fit for you, okay? But let me look through your answers. So Anna is going to look at her network. And I know Anna is an immediate implementer. So chances are Anna's already, right? Already like looking through her network, right? I love Margie saying how quickly, so what stood out to her was how quickly I implement ideas by going out in the hallway, right? I need to work that fast. Yeah, it's true, right? Like I don't wait. I don't want to wait. If I hear something and it can work, I want to do it, and I want to do it right then. Why would I wait, right? So I love that. So do that. Like find something today from this talk, Margie, and implement it immediately. Do it immediately, right? Do it right now while I'm telling you to go do it, right? And then Labrada says, I've been thinking about connecting with others. I'm struggling with how to connect with folks that are with organizations and not posting, or that I'm not friends with other than through a connection on LinkedIn. Is it as simple as, hey, I would love to have coffee lunch? No. No, Labrada. Don't send the coffee emails. Don't send, I would love to have coffee with you. I would so many people get those, right? So really about connecting with anyone, if you don't know them, if they're not your friend, if you're not connected with them, we've already talked about today, you're not going to have as good of a result as connecting with your long lost friends, right? So I would start with that, with your long lost friends, and cultivating that. They might be connected to people within the industries, organizations, and associations that you need. They might be the super connector for you that can connect you. You're always going to have a better run of luck if you get connected to people by somebody who's already connected to them, right? So start cultivating the relationships with the long lost friends, the people you knew and you knew well, but you haven't talked to since high school, since college, right? That you haven't talked to in a while. They are your super connectors. They are connected to people unlike you, and they can be an in and connect you to the organizations and the associations that you're looking to be connected to, right? But if you are going to reach out to organizations and associations and people that you don't know and you don't have a connection with, it's no different. You stalk them online. Google their names, read their articles, read where they're being quoted, read what they're putting out on LinkedIn, read what they're putting on their Facebook page, and be asking yourself, how can I give them extreme value? Right? Maybe one day you catch that they're looking for a introduction to a maitre d' at a restaurant. And remember, by now you've cultivated a what? A diverse network, right? You've cultivated a diverse network. So you put out a feeler to your network. Does anybody know the maitre d' at this restaurant? And somebody's like, I do. I know the maitre d' at that restaurant. I'll get you a connection. So now you can message that person and say, hi, Adam, I know that you don't know me, but I saw on LinkedIn that you were looking for a connection to the maitre d' at ABC restaurant. I happen to have gotten that connection for you, so I wanted to facilitate that introduction. If you need anything else from me, you let me know. Do you think Adam is going to remember you because you gave him that? Absolutely, right? When you just cold call somebody and say, hey, I'd love to get to know you better, everyone's doing that. I'm not kidding, 20 to 25 emails a day from people saying, Reed, I'd love to just get together for coffee, see how we can do business together, see how we can help each other out. And I don't know them. I don't know them, right, at all. And I'm getting 25 emails that look just the same, right? But I shared a story the other day on Women's Business Garden about a girl, Jenny, that listened to me talk, heard what I needed, asked about me, asked about what I needed, or at least, if she hadn't been talking to me, she could have paid attention and found out, and then boom, gave me that. And then I wanted to talk to her, right? So Labrada, that's what I would suggest to you, right? Is the people you want to connect with, research them. See where they've been quoted, what they're talking about, see what discussion forums they're in, what start interacting with them in those ways. Give them value, give them meaning, compliment them on an article or a quote, let them know that it had an impact in your life, right? Engage like that, build a relationship, right? Build a relationship, right? For the people that you've fallen out of touch with, right? Again, it's the same thing. Look at them and give them value. That long lost friend in the hallway that I was connecting with, right? I saw that she needed an introduction to a certain kind of person. She was looking for somebody to come to her house and do some work, right? And I facilitated that introduction. That's how I reestablished the conversation. It wasn't let's get together and talk. It was, I see you need this and I have it and I'm going to give it to you. That made me stand out more than if I had just said, hey, it's been a while, let's get together and talk. Rajika says working on her soft skills is something. So I still, for you, Rajika, I do recommend Toastmasters. I actually think that would be really great for you, knowing you, right? And Rachel said the quick action is something I want to work on for sure. And I did just go on LinkedIn because it's been on my list. Oh, good, quick action. So Rachel took it. Boom, right? Connected with a few more peripheral people. Love it. So now be thinking, how can I give them value, right? How can I give them value? For anyone you want to connect with, how can I give them meaningful value? And Cordelia was actually there. She actually heard Paul's talk. Cordelia was in Barbados and said, awesome tips, right? Awesome tips. So here's the other thing, right? I've already said that if you guys want to implement, right, this, reach out to me. Don't hesitate. You never know, right? It's a complimentary clarity call, and we can figure out if coaching's right for you. My clients are just kicking butt right now at the holidays. I just can't with them, and I'm really excited for it, right? And even some people that have had the call that didn't go on to be my client said that they got a lot of clarity, thank goodness, out of a clarity call. Go figure on that, right? But the other thing I want to announce and tell you guys, right, is that next year, the Live Again Barbados Conference has invited Women's Business Garden to be a part of it, right? So I am one of the main speakers. I was like a little introductory speaker this year. Next year, I'm a main speaker. The theme, go figure, of next year is relationships, right? A variety of relationships. Business relationships, relationships with money, relationships with time, relationships with, with in your love life and your romantic partners, and relationships with friends and relationships with family, like a variety of different breakout sessions and different things, right? Including a chance to work with and mentor some of the local children in Barbados. So some of you saw that part of this experience that I did was that, and Cordelia was my partner for this. We got to go out to a school in Barbados that serves, kind of disadvantaged youth, and we read to them and we passed out books, and it was one of the best experiences. In fact, what Paul said kind of, there was a teacher there, right? So we read to the kids and we passed out the books. And there was a teacher that got mad that we did that. And this is not representative of all the teachers in Barbados, right? Or how the schools work. I talked to a couple of other people, but they said that they had already decided who they wanted to give the books to, because in their mind, they already knew who was going to be successful in life by age 3. And they wanted those kids to have the books and not the others, right? So Paul says, because things like this happen all the time, he finds it very important to actually interact with the youth of any country that you go to, right? For a variety of reasons. And so there is going to be a huge component of that in the Living in Barbados conference next November of 2018. So the weekend of November 17th, it's probably going to start the Thursday before that. So I think that's the 15th or something, and go through that Sunday. But Women's Business Garden is going to be included, and you guys are going to get a special offer, and it's going to be a weekend full of masterminding, a special breakout masterminding day for Women's Business Garden members. It's going to be interactive with the culture and the youth, with some mentorship of Barbados. We are going to have breakout sessions and speakers and lecturers on a variety of topics dealing with relationships. It is going to be amazing. And in a couple of days, I'm going to be posting about it. And all you have to do to hold your spot is put down a non-refundable deposit, right? It is worth every penny, and I just can't wait, to go back again to Barbados. My husband and I extended it actually and had a vacation, and it was great. But it was so wonderful of Karen, who is the organizer of that, to try to include Women's Business Garden. I mean, with space for us to have a breakout session and our own thing, and it's absolutely going to be. So I wanted to, if you're interested in that, if you think, oh my God, I want to go to something like this, I want to go to this conference, I want to have this experience, I want to learn these things, just mark your calendar, right? I would say mark it in pen, but you can mark it in pencil for that weekend of November 17th, like that Thursday through Sunday, for the conference to happen in Barbados of next year. And more information will be coming out. Yes, Cordelia, definitely will. And Wendy, isn't that sad? I agree, that's so sad. So let's see what I missed. So I see that Margie said, what's the difference between a coach and a mentor? Okay, I will be honest, these words are used interchangeably. Coach, mentor, strategist, trainer, consultant, right? Just mix them up in a pot nowadays, because they really can all be representative of a million different things, right? Somebody might call themselves a mentor, but there's no set definition anymore, right? But for the most part, a coach coaches you by asking you questions to help you tap into things and come up with the answers. A mentor will shortcut things for you. A mentor tends to be someone who is at the level that you want to be, right? Or who has surpassed the level you want to be at, and can tell you how to get there from experience, and can help shortcut things for you and be like, why are you wasting your time on that? If you just saved time over here by doing that, then you get there much quicker, right? And I know, because that's how I got to where I am, right? That's more of a mentor. And a coach is more like, I don't have to be where you were, right? I can kind of I know the right questions to ask, right? To get you where you need to be. Most of us, though, are a mixture of everything, right? I'm not a coach, just a coach, although I ask some coaching questions. I am not just a mentor, because I might not have been exactly where you need to be. I am a consultant, because I can go into a company or a business and consult and give them some advice. And I'm also mainly a strategist, because I can help provide the strategies that you need in order to build your business, right? So it's a mixture of, a lot of coaches are like, I don't tell you what to do. I ask you the questions to help you figure out how to do it. I do that a little bit. I also tell you what to do, I also just come out as a strategist and a trainer and a mentor and say, don't do that. That is a waste of your time. That is not going to get you the results that you want. I think that you're spinning your wheels. Don't focus on that until this has gotten successful. Here is your strategy. Here's your marketing strategy. Here's your plan to go get clients. Here's your plan for marketing and sales. And here's how you overcome a sales objection. And here's how you structure a sales call, right? So I'm a big mixture of coaching, training, strategy, mentorship, all of it together, because I really do believe that that's the way that you can be successful, that I'm best able to help people, right? Is being everything all at once, because it's going to be the fastest path for people's business to reach a successful level. So hopefully that answers your question. So for everybody, did that answer all of your questions? Was this helpful? Did you find these tips to be helpful to you and your business? I hope so. If so, please let people know in the comments so that people will watch the replay and not miss out on this information, because I think this information is very important. And watch next week. High Achievers Club registration opens next week, round 5. It will be the 1-year anniversary of High Achievers Club. I'm so excited. So watch for that. And also, if you're like 2018 is the year, I'm so ready. I'm so ready for my business to be at the level I want it to be at. And I want to do the things and have the impact I want. Reach out to me, schedule that clarity call. Just send me a message. We'll get you set up. We'll see if it's a good fit. It might not be, but we'll see if it is. And save on the calendar, right? Barbados 2018, guys. Look at the photos on my personal page. It was an amazing time. Ask Cordelia. She was there. It was an amazing time. Put it on your calendar. Join me next year. It is going to be a very, very powerful experience. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to disappear now. Have a great day, and I will be talking to you guys in the Facebook group. Take care. Bye, everyone. I can't wait to see the screenshot that Facebook gives me for the freezing frame photo of this. I'm always scared to hit finish because I never know. Is it going to be like, well, I don't want to do the face because that's the face that it'll pick. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the group. Bye.